Last week, you watched us finish our 27-day sail from Panama to French Polynesia. This week, join us for a much shorter sail here in the Marquesas before we sit down to chat about the expectation versus reality of our Pacific crossing. I'm Holly, that's Ray, and this is our home, Sabado. Together, we've sailed the east coast of the United States, the Bahamas, and the Caribbean. And now we've begun the next leg of our circumnavigation, the Pacific. Subscribe to tag along on the adventure. Oh my God, look at that runoff. No wonder the water is murky here. Wow. Oh, you can see it just pouring down the rocks. Yikes. We're not going far today, just checking out a new anchorage a couple of miles south in Tawata, I think is how you say that. Hi! Oh, you are beautiful! Anchor is down. This is actually the first sandy beach we've seen here. So pretty. Maybe I won't even have to clean the bottom. Yeah. Get after it, guys. Oh, you're colorful. Okay, let's go check the anchor. Oh, I'm so happy about that. So far, we've been to 4 different anchorages, and it's just really different here. It's really deep, it's usually very rocky. It's not uncommon to have to put every single bit of chain you have out and then pull it all back up and put it all back out several times before you get settled in a good spot. So seeing a sandy bottom and a set anchor on our first try is really nice. Sabado is looking not as nice. Okay, that's enough boat work. It's happy hour.
All right, we're gonna answer some questions.
Yes, we collected some questions from our patrons about our Pacific crossing, so we figured we would sit down and kind of talk about the details now that we've completed it.
All right.
Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, first thing, I have some little statistics.
Okay.
from our trip. So our total route was 4,048.7 nautical miles. It took us 649 hours, which is just over 27 days. And our average speed over ground was 6.2 knots. Our maximum speed over ground was 14.4.
That was surfing.
Yeah, totally. But
Although we almost hit 200 miles on a day.
yeah, I think we were at 196.
Yeah, and so that we had like 10 and a half knot extended period of time there.
We used 90 gallons of diesel between both engines and the generator. I think we ran the generator 3 times.
Yeah, I think total of 9 hours for the generator. That's only like 4.5 gallons.
Yeah, and so we arrived in the Marquesas with 110 gallons left because we had our jerry cans that we transferred into the tanks, I think on like week 2.
Yeah, it was all motoring from Panama to Galapagos. The first 7 days, I think.
Yes, that's exactly what my next
motoring.
little metric is. We had 186 hours engine runtime, which is 7 days.
Yeah.
7 point something days. So yeah, Panama to Galapagos was pretty much all motoring for us. You
All right,
ready?
questions? Yeah, let's do it.
First question is, what was the expectation versus the reality of this passage?
I would say that the reality was pretty much what the expectation was. Although
Really?
I think we motored more than I thought we would, and the wind was much lighter than I thought it was going to be.
I agree in terms of sailing. In terms of just the lifestyle of being underway for that long, it was not what I expected. I expected to have just like so much downtime, and I thought I would just be dying to do a craft or an activity or exercise, but I felt busy while we were underway. I felt like we did a lot more sail changes because of the light wind, and I was just, a lot of our big sails we run to the aft winches, which are manual winches, and so I was just exhausted. I mean, if I wasn't awake at the helm, I was cooking a meal or I was asleep. Like there was very little downtime, and that's not really what I expected. Next question. What was your favorite and least favorite part of your passage?
I think for me, my favorite part of it was that it was just you and I. I think that was cool because, you know, you see a lot of people do this passage with like 8, 10, 12 people on board. And that just wouldn't be my idea of a good passage. And it was just the 2 of us, and that was ideal for me because we trust each other, we know each other's skills, and it made it really relaxing.
Yeah.
I think my least favorite part of it was not having the right sail configuration for the trip.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part, I would agree that it was just the 2 of us. We're both introverts, I would say, and it was just so peaceful being out there, just the 2 of us. I think my least favorite part is kind of niche, but washing our garbage. We did a really good job of getting rid of most of the food packaging before we left Panama, but things like the vacuum seal bags that you keep raw meat in, I would wash with soap and water and dry before I threw them away, just so our trash didn't stink while we were underway. It was so hot and sunny that I didn't want to be like growing an ecosystem in our garbage can.
Yeah, we only had 1 bag of trash.
Yeah, which was great. We made landfall with 1 bag of trash. I think that's awesome. But yeah, I washed all of our plastics, and then we threw organics overboard, but that's just really unpleasant to do. Next question, what was the most challenging aspect of your crossing? I think that was the sail configuration.
Okay, you go first.
Okay, I think that was the sail configuration. It's partially on us. We have a spinnaker, a symmetrical spinnaker, an S3. It came with the boat, and we've flown it I think twice before this passage, and we never double checked the parameters for the sail. And So we were under the impression it was a light wind sail, and we ended up messaging the manufacturer, and it's not really. I mean, it's supposed to be like, what is it, 8 to 15?
It was 10 to 25 and no deeper than 140 degrees.
Yeah, and so
it just didn't work for us. Now we could have used it without the mainsail, but Lagoon says we can't have a head sail without a mainsail.
Yes.
So we'll probably get into that too.
I don't know if I really have a leading question for that, and so maybe we should talk about it. There's a specification for the Lagoon 42 for all of the 2-digit Lagoons that have the aft set mast that you should not fly head sail only.
That really limits what we can do. I think for me, the most challenging aspect was just keeping up on making sure everything was working and functioning properly. You know, for example, we saw that we were getting some chafe in our main halyard, and there's not a lot you can do out in the middle of the Pacific to climb up to the mast to address that. And I think that was probably the most frustrating was, your autopilot is on for 30 days, 27 days. Your mainsail is up for 27 days. You're really taxing your equipment and your gear, and I think that was the most challenging.
Definitely. All right. If you could go back in time, what would you do differently, and what would you be sure to do the same?
Okay, so a couple things. One would be I would make sure I had an A2, an asymmetrical spinnaker, a light wind, downwind sail. I think would have been really good. And the other thing that I would do is we met some folks who became good friends with us in Vistamar Marina in Panama, and they gave us some meat, like jerky. What is it called?
It was South African biltong.
Biltong?
Biltong.
Oh.
I'll put the name of it on the screen. You guys should try it if you have access.
I would get twice as much of that.
Yes, Brandon and Natishka, if you're watching this.
Thank you guys so much.
I think we eat it every single day of the passage.
Oh, so good. I would eat a whole bag of it right
And
now.
it was shelf stable, vacuum sealed until you open it, then you put it in the fridge. So it was nice, like in terms of food space.
Okay, so that was what I would...
That's what you would do differently.
No, okay, and then
what would you keep the same?
What I keep the same? Everything else. I mean, it was a... I'll go ahead and say it. It was actually a very easy passage. It was an easy passage.
Yeah, we lucked out, man.
Yeah, it was a really easy passage.
Is it luck when you do so much preparation? I don't know. I think we did so much work to make sure us and the boat were ready for this that I don't know if you can call it luck. We were really comfortable the whole passage, I'd say.
Yep. Yeah, good sleep. Good. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, we ended up doing, I think, 5 hours on, 5 hours off overnight was like our happy place. And then during the day, it tended to be a bit more flexible, a little bit shorter shifts. But having 5 hours on, 5 hours off overnight, I think is perfect for 2 people because you're able to get some sort of restful sleep, not just like a cat nap, you feel like you're getting into your REM cycle.
Yeah.
Something I would do differently. Yeah, an A2.
Yeah.
I agree with your differently. It would be sail inventory along the lines of mitigating that head sail only stipulation by Lagoon, maybe getting running backstays so that we could fly head sail only. I think that would have been great to have on this passage. What I would make sure to keep the same, I think we freaking nailed meal prep and provisioning. We ate
really well.
We ate really well. We had good meals, nutritious meals, and they were like super minimal effort. I wrote a really long-winded, detailed blog post that I'll link wherever the links appear nowadays with recipes and everything. But we were doing super minimal amounts of cooking and getting great meals out of it. So I was really happy with that. We had plenty of food. We arrived in Hivaoa and we weren't like running to a grocery store, which thank God, because there's not much to be had at the grocery store there. So, all right. How is your energy generation and consumption? Would you do anything differently?
All of our power basically comes from solar. And I would say we got half as much solar on the passage as we normally do at anchor because the sails just blanket the solar. And it's something that we can mitigate a couple of ways. One is we don't use our electric galley. We have both electric and propane in our galley. So we're able to use the propane and our generator. You know, if we did not have the generator, we would have been in some trouble energy-wise. We chose not to use our main engines as a power source. They do charge the batteries, but at a small amount. And that's mainly because we would rather put hours on our generator rather than our engines. One thing that we've talked about doing is getting a couple sets of portable solar panels that fold up, like 400 watts. They're 4 100-watt panels each. And I think we'll probably get 2 of those because we could easily lay those out across the coach roof, across the trampoline on the boat, and make up for the fact that the sails are shading the solar. And I think that's one of the things on our list. If we can find someone that will ship them to French Polynesia, that's been the problem.
If you know of anybody, please let us know.
Right.
Could you just touch on how much solar we have, what our battery bank situation is, our generator situation?
So we have a little over 900 amp hours. This is all 12 volt of lithium batteries. We've got close to 2,000 watts of solar, and our generator charges our batteries at about 250 amps. So what's nice about that is that we can go from a completely empty battery, empty as far as how far we'll take it down, and we can start the generator, and in 3 hours we're 100% on the batteries. With the navigation system and the lights and the autopilot, all the refrigeration, this boat runs at about 28 amp hours. That's kind of what we draw. So we have to be careful when we're a 3-4 day passage, no problem, right? We'll take the batteries down to 20% without a problem. But when we're weeks out there, if we take our batteries down to 20%, we're not going to get charged back up.
Yeah.
We could go 2, sometimes 3 days with very little solar and be okay. But again, we were out there for 27 days. So.
Yeah, and we were turning the inverter off most nights.
Starlink takes 10 amps.
Yeah, we also really struggled making water on this passage because of our speed and because of the sea state, and that's something that we did not anticipate at all. We thought if we had a problem with water, the problem was going to be our Watermaker being broken, and so we actually have a whole backup Watermaker system.
Yeah, we have 2 Watermakers on the boat.
And we couldn't use either of them.
No, the problem is anything at like 8.5 knots and above, we're going too fast to make water. There's too much bubbles, too much aeration, too much air that gets in the system. And so, the idea is that you would slow down, which we don't want to do. But then when we would get down below 8 knots, 8.5 knots,
we were in 9-foot seas.
We had 9-10-foot seas.
For days.
And so the back of the boat comes out of the water, and that's where the through hole for the Watermaker is.
Yeah, and we tried a couple times to run it anyway.
It doesn't work. So we would just wait and conserve water.
We were a little stinky.
And
thank God it was just the 2 of us.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to talk about the fix for that maybe we'll sort out in the future.
Yeah, well, we do have a through hole that is unused. Are we getting pretty close over here?
No, you got space.
We do have an unused through hole that's right at the aft end of the keel. And it's the right size for the Rain Man Watermaker. And I think that's what we'll do in the future. I'll set that up to be used.
Yeah, because that part of the hole never is coming out of the water.
No, yeah. If it did come out of the water, we'd be in trouble. But the other thing too is we have enough water storage on this boat. We have 158 gallons that we can store, 600 liters. That for anything that's like 7-10 days or under, we're fine. And this, I don't know if we have any passages that are going to be that long. Maybe the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
But I think we're okay moving forward.
Yeah.
You know?
With this experience under your belt, what changes are you looking to make to your rig or your sail inventory for the rest of your majority downwind circumnavigation?
Yeah, so
Great question.
We're heading to Australia soon. We don't know exactly when. The end of this year or into next year. We're figuring that out. And we're going to do a fairly large refit plan down there.
Yeah, Sabado will be turning 10, so
10 in 2027. So that means that for insurance, we need to replace the standing rigging. So we'll do that. We're working right now with Cyclops Marine on coming up with some monitors for the rigging, and we're also looking at installing running backstays that will allow us to run head sails only without worrying about the balance of the mast. And we are also looking for A2 spinnaker options. We're looking into that as well.
yes, it's just, it is very expensive to sail around the world.
Yeah.
I think that's like our big limiting factor. So many people on the internet are having these awesome custom boats built, and we drool over the specs of those boats for sure. But our approach to our circumnavigation is very much so making the boat that we own our dream boat rather than paying for a custom build. But I think that this refit is a great opportunity for us to kind of make some of the functional changes that we're looking for on the boat, and a lot of that includes, now that we've crossed the Pacific, a lot of that includes some changes to the rig.
Yeah, I mean, significant changes. This trip to Australia is going to be extensive.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your experience like using a weather router for this passage?
Yeah, so we used a professional weather router. We'll put the link.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. He would reach out to us throughout, the day and say, hey, you guys it's perfect, keep going exactly how you are, or he'd give us a different waypoint to head to. He steered us around some storms. The communication was fantastic. I didn't leave it 100% up to him, right? I did my own weather routing with an awesome application called QTVLM.
And it's free.
Yeah, although I did some.
Yeah, we sent a donation.
I did donate. I think we'll do some videos on that, because that application is.
It's kind of like,
It takes the place of OpenCPN. It takes the place of predict wind. It takes the place of anchor alarms.
It's become our primary application. So maybe you could talk about the difference. We've recently switched weather routers now that we're in the Pacific. We used one weather router for the Atlantic and the Caribbean, and now we're using somebody who primarily does South Pacific.
Yeah, so I think.
So what's sort of the difference in the advice and the reports you get?
The difference was in the Caribbean, we would get a route, and that would be it, unless we reached out and said, hey, it's not working out or whatever. And the router that we're using now tracks us, monitors us. We have a sail logger, which is, we'll put that link down too. That another fantastic application. And so he would track us, and through sail logger he could see exactly where we were, exactly what the weather was at that time, because all of our instrumentation reported through that, so he could see it. And he'd reach out and say things like, wow, you guys are doing great, keep it up. Or he'd say, you need to go 5 degrees more south, and here's your waypoint. And so it was much more interactive with the router that we have here than what we're used to in the Caribbean. He reached out at one point and said, there is convection ahead of you. Let's reroute you around the convection.
Yeah.
So that we didn't have to be in the lightning storms.
Yeah, we only saw lightning once, which was great.
Now that added a day to our journey, but that's
I'll
okay.
Take that over a lightning strike.
Yeah.
Next question. Did Starlink work the entire time?
The entire time.
The entire time.
Worked perfect.
We turned on mobile priority. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we ended up spending an extra $800.
It was $800. I thought it was $600.
Well, by the time we got here, it was we spent an extra $800 to have internet the entire way across. But that's we got charged per usage.
Oh yeah, we were
so
uploading videos.
We
real
uploaded
time.
videos real time. So that was that's how much we care about you guys.
Yeah, like and subscribe. Join us.
Thumbs
on
up
Patreon.
and share. So yeah, it worked flawlessly.
Yeah,
Flawlessly.
it was really great, and it was so fun being able to communicate real time. I mean, the YouTube videos, we were also doing daily updates on the blog and on our Instagram.
And we did FaceTime video,
Yeah,
calls.
yeah.
It was
cool to be able to share the experience real time. I think that was really
Right.
special, and I don't regret it.
And so yes, it was expensive, but if you take that, $800 and figure out the daily cost of that, it was worth it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How was it with just the two of you? Do you wish you would have brought additional crew?
Yeah, it was perfect with just the two of us.
It was so much fun.
Now, it's got to be the right people on these trips. And
Totally. It'll make or break your experience
Yeah.
if you're with the wrong people. And again, we're kind of introverted. And so we know that we work well together, we trust each other, we can sleep soundly knowing the other person is going to make similar decisions to what we would make if we were at the helm.
Yeah,
It was just
and
a
you know,
fun-
after the first week, 10 days, we got used to the lack of sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
It's
an
fine.
adjustment period, but then you get on that 5 hours on, 5 hours off, and you're good.
Yeah, you're good, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and you have electronics that are monitoring things. So
Yeah, so it's a little less stressful.
yeah.
Do you have any advice for doing a long passage with your spouse? And then in parentheses he says, how to keep the peace.
Oh, don't do a long passage with your spouse if you don't get along.
Yeah, I think if you're worried about getting along with anybody, you shouldn't cross an ocean with them for sure.
we there's nobody that I would rather spend time with than this person right here.
We celebrated our wedding anniversary while we were on passage.
Yes.
Very special.
And we live full time on this. This really is a tiny boat.
Yeah.
And we don't have any issues.
Yeah, because it would be such a bummer to do something so cool and then fight the whole way.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that. That's our advice. Don't do it. What was the state of the boat like upon arrival in terms of bottom growth, rust, food supply, repairs needed?
She was so salty.
She was so salty.
I think at one point, maybe a quarter of the way through the trip, I did wash the boat down.
Yeah.
But then with the issue we had with the Watermaker not being able to run it, we just couldn't do that.
Yeah, we polished the stainless the week before we left, and it was perfect, and it is so bad.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I mean, I think it's okay now.
That's because I polished
Yeah,
it.
you polished it, and she got washed really good when we got here.
Yeah, in terms of bottom growth, not bad. I think the majority of it was soft growth, up on the fiberglass around the waterline. It came off really easily. We had some goose barnacles around the sugar scoops, but those also came off pretty easily. We did have pretty fresh bottom paint when we left, so it wasn't really a big issue. Food, we were pretty much fine. I mean,
We did a small grocery trip. We didn't even need to do that.
No.
We would still be just fine with groceries.
Yeah, we had plenty of food in the freezer when we arrived, and we also still had apples, we had potatoes, we had onions. It's all in the food provisioning blog post that I did, but we were totally fine. I think we've been here for a week and a half, 2 weeks now, and we're still doing fine.
Yeah.
I would love to go to a grocery store though.
They're tough to come by
Far
here.
and few in between. Oh, repairs. What broke?
Oh, so we didn't fix anything on the trip. Nothing broke that we fixed.
Yeah,
Like day one, we noticed that the blower motor for our starboard engine compartment had failed. Nothing critical. We have a new one on its way. Our halyard chafed at the mast, but only through the cover. So I went up and fixed that when we got here, but it would have been fine. What else? That was it. Our trip went really well as far as things not breaking because we made that happen.
Yes. Maybe if you were to give advice to somebody who's preparing for a trip like this in terms of preventing problems, what would you say were maybe the top 3 most important things that you did?
Chafe. You need to protect against chafe. Your running rigging is going to be up and in use for almost 30 days. So you need to have spares, and you need to also, throughout the passage, move things around a little bit and inspect it, right? Make sure that you're not getting chafe, and address it if you are.
I did daily,
sometimes twice a day,
walk arounds, just looking at everything, touching everything, pulling on everything, and making sure it was as it should be. And the second he noticed even a small sign, we would shift things around to prevent it.
Yeah, and I think that's the main thing. We do have a backup autopilot that we installed, and although we didn't need it, we didn't use it, 27 days of downwind sailing definitely takes its toll on an autopilot. And at least for a couple hours every day, I would turn the autopilot off and hand steer just to make sure things were balanced, things felt okay, give the autopilot a break. But beyond that, it's just preventive maintenance. It's just having spares. I was chatting with someone online that has the same boat about fuel capacity, and their reply was, wow, you didn't even need to bring any extra fuel. But don't do that. Bring extra fuel
as much as you can carry.
Because that's just one less thing two things. It's one less thing you need to worry about, and also fuel is a pain to get here.
There's not a fuel dock.
There's no fuel docks. So you have to you bring your jerry cans to a gas station.
Last question from our patrons. You've been in the Marquesas for over a week now. How is it?
It is beautiful. And
it's undeniably stunning. We're so lucky to be here.
It is, but
it's kind of stressful.
It is. The anchorages are very deep. It's not uncommon to be anchoring in 100 feet of water. It's not uncommon to have boats anchoring way too close. Grocery stores are very difficult to find anything at. Everyone knows when the ships come in to deliver food, and they throw elbows for the fresh fruits and vegetables.
We haven't even been able to find eggs yet.
No. And it's packed.
It's really stressful to put every foot of chain you have out.
Every bit of chain. Every bit.
Pull it back up and have to redo that several times before you're in a good spot. And the windlass is groaning, and I'm just thinking, oh my God, if we can't pull, we have 200 feet of chain out. If we can't pull this up with the windlass, like, we're kind of screwed. And there's not another option. It's not like there's a mooring field around the corner. There's
no marinas. And it's not uncommon. In fact, if you look at other YouTube channels, you'll see it. It is not uncommon for windlasses to fail here because you're putting almost 300 feet of chain out with a big anchor anchoring in 100 feet of water, and the windlass just dies from that stress.
Yeah, and there's not a place to get a new windlass.
We're sailors.
Figure it out.
We're sailors.
That's all we've got.
That's all we got.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Alberto, stop moving.
I will not.
She does not sound like that. Okay, Holly. Oh my god! Hi! Wow! That is so cool. Oh! Oh! He came up a little higher that time.
Oh, good.
Do it again. Do it again. Oh, yeah. Oh? Oh my god, Ray.
Yeah.